Good morning, Bitcoin. Today is Friday, March 6th, 2020, and this is the Thomas Hunt Show. The price of Bitcoin is up 0.11% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 9,087, a high of 9,179, and a low of 9,015. That's $1 for 11,012 Satoshis. For thought, you're supposed to get a quote at the beginning. Not sure I have one ready. Let's see. It's a song from Mr. Rogers. Here, hold on. Let's go to full screen. Here we are. Welcome to Thomas Hunt Show. All about Thomas Hunt things. THS. This. From the song, what do you do with the mad that you feel? What do you do with the mad that you feel? When you feel so mad you could bite? When the whole wide world seems oh so wrong, and nothing you do seems very right? What do you do? Do you punch a bag? Do you pound some clay or some dough? Do you round up friends for a game of tag, or see how fast you go? It's great to be able to stop when you've planned a thing that's wrong and be able to do something else instead. And think, this song. I can stop when I want to. I can stop when I wish. Can stop, anytime. And what a good feeling to feel like this, and know that the feeling is really mine. Know that there's something deep inside that helps us become what we can. For a girl can someday a woman, and a boy be someday a man. There you go, Mr. Rogers from the song, What Do You Do With the Mad That You Feel? There you go, from the world according to Mr. Rogers. Good morning on this Friday morning. Quite a lot going on. Oh, let's see what we've got going here. Turn the browser on, activate main screen. Everyone give us a thumbs up and a share. That really helps more people find the show. We're checking out the Bitcoin price. It says, based on your recent activity, you might like Bitcoin stocks. That's interesting. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is down 2.08% in the last 15 minutes or so. I don't know. That's 543 points down to 25,577. About the lowest we saw today was 25,295, knocking on the door of that 25,000 level, although some are calling a bottom, saying that it's bounced. But I don't know. The Dow is down because of the coronavirus, and the coronavirus is interfering with the world's ability to make things, and the world's ability to make things is what the Dow is supposed to measure. So I think it's working. Checking out the top stories today. The grandfather of distributed computing projects, Seti at home, shuts down. And I don't know if this is a big deal to you guys, but this is a big deal to me. I used to run Seti at home back in the day, and Boinc, B-O-I-N-C, in the same time or before that. And a friend of mine ran the one where you could find the digits of pi, and so on and so forth. And what Seti would do is they had all this extra radio transmission information from Arecibo, the installation based in Contact the Movie, and other installations, and they needed to sift through it. And part of the way it could be sifted through is by your computer and my computer. When we weren't using them, they could use that extra time to sift through the data. And maybe, if we're lucky, right, find UFOs, find little green men. So, of course, I was into it. I thought it sounded great. So pretty soon I was sending all of my extra computing cycles to Seti. And as I mentioned on Twitter, and, not proud of this, but it's a thing that happened. At one point, I worked in the computer labs. I was a computer lab geek or whatever. I fixed problems. And at one point I had administrator rights. So I figured out how to get the entire lab running Seti at home on my account. And it was great. We were going to find aliens right there in Sacramento. But all that happened in the end is they took away my administrator rights. They were worried that running Seti would damage the computer somehow, or it was extra bandwidth or something. But I'm sure the same thing happened decades later with Bitcoin. Same kind of thing, overzealous computer geek. But then it was probably a much bigger deal because there was money involved. I, of course, never made a dime off of Seti at home, although I did try to find them aliens. So, great project. Really opened up the ideas to a lot of things. I think that not that the core of Bitcoin is in there, but the core of the idea of mining, the idea of running this thing in the background on your computer. And my roommate and I used to talk about this all the time, kind of the ideas behind what's become these distributed database hard drive kind of projects. But the idea that, you could store my data and I could store your data and it would be encrypted and we wouldn't have access to it and it would be on many computers. And this general basic idea we used to talk about all the time. And I think one of the reasons we talked about it is because we were big into Seti. So, hey, checking out the chat. Hello to Peter. He's ready. Za says, pound that like button. Satoshi Nakamoto says, always remember and never forget something. Something. I forgot it. something dark side. Something price jump. And Zaza agrees with me. He says his friend put Seti on all the high school computers. So same kind of thing. I think it happens to a lot of us. We're like, hey, we do have this extra processing power, and we weren't making MP3s at that time, although sometimes those computers could be used to compress audio files. Oh, and we did bandwidth testing as well. You always have to test the bandwidth to make sure it works. That's an important part of being a computer geek. So we're just checking out the top stories here today. What's been going on that Mad Bitcoin's Twitter? Well, as it says here, I finished How Music Works by David Byrne. Getting off microphone a little bit there, but let's show the big full screen image here. How Music Works, David Byrne, big book. The second half of the book I kind of blitzed through. A lot of it was about David Byrne's collaborations with other artists, which was interesting, especially the way that now he can collaborate by going to their home studios or by sending them tapes, but not even tapes, sending them emails with files in them, so that even a high-end musician like Mr. Byrne can take advantage of these new kind of lower-fi technologies that we all have access to. And he talked about how that's changing things and how that's allowing more people access to music. He spent a lot of time talking about how to be a successful artist and make money. I tried to take notes. I tried to understand. But yeah, he talked about how the different models that you could do, having a label, not having a label, all kinds of things like that. So very cool book. Definitely recommend it if you're into music. Also, it has a puffy cover. At least mine does, because it's from McSweeney's Books, which is David Eggers' brand. He did Heartbreaking Work of Staggering Genius, among other books. Very cool. I got his autograph someday. I'll tell you about it. But for now, I feel it's very important to pause everything, just put everything on hold, and tell you why I'm wearing a Mets hat. I found this Mets hat at Ross. It's kind of like a thrift store, like a secondhand store, and I got it for $10, so it's a good deal. And it's one of those new kind of sun-reflecting hats and has like a three-dimensional plastic orange logo that's kind of lighting up in the things. And the reason I'm into the Mets mainly right here is this book and this year, 1986. The Bad Guys Won. In the subtitle it says, a season of brawling, boozing, bimbo chasing, and championship baseball with Straw, Doc, Mookie, Nails, the Kid, and the rest of the 1986 Mets. The rowdiest team to ever put on a New York uniform, and maybe the best. So the New York Mets, very cool team in 1986, kind of the first World Series that I ever watched. They beat the Boston Red Sox. On the other side, this is the game where, eventually it's the game where Buckner has it go through his legs and he can't pick up the ball and he doesn't get him at first. But the rest of it is these guys just hustling it out, being crazy drunks, maybe on coke, having crazy messes on airplanes, out of control, sleeping with each other's wives. Every kind of great story you'd want is in this book. If you're into baseball books, The Bad Guys Won. Great baseball book story about, and again, it's kind of a history. It's a history, it's something that happened in baseball. It's a baseball history, but no, very cool. Love the '86 Mets. Fun stories. Now I'm still going Elkin days, man. I just got this hat for $10. Also, I got this other fun book about the Mets called Wait Till Next Year. This is by William Goldman, who I think, he wrote Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, so legendary screenwriter. And he's just complaining with Mike Lupica about how much the Mets suck. And I think this was the 88 Mets or something, so it was a few years after the 86s. So I'm into the 86 to 88 Mets. And I got this other book called Worst Team Money Could Buy, The Collapse of the New York Mets. And this is about the 89 Mets. But no, I got A's hats too. They just didn't have that at Ross this time. So there you go. Mets hat explained. Now back to our regularly scheduled program, which what I really wanted to talk about here today, and here it is right here, the article and everything. Bam, Twitter, so useful. Oh, I got to pause whatever kind of sporty thing this is. Do not want. Okay. New CBA removes all substance abuse suspensions for positive drug tests. And I thought this was a really big deal. This is from the National Football League. And the CBA is the collective bargaining agreement. It's the deal between the players and the owners, a.k.a. the league being an extension of the owners. But what the CBA says is that from now on, they're not going to test for marijuana, and that no players will be suspended, taken out of work for a drug test. Basically, the new rules say that a player will be sent to kind of treatment or some kind of secondary level of treatment. So you got to figure if they were on meth or heroin or something really terrible, they would be on this second level, but they probably wouldn't be stopped from playing their football game, which especially for the marijuana makes a big deal. So this is kind of the NFL, which is a very conservative organization, kind of nationally changing drugs from being a punishment to a treatment. And this is what a lot of people have been arguing for, but I think that we're seeing it implemented here for the very first time in a sporting league. I mean, so you could say they implemented it in Portugal. They see it as a treatment problem, as an addiction problem, and they've pretty much wiped it out. And it's not the same kind of violent problem that we have here in the United States. So it's interesting to see this happen here in the NFL. So I don't know, it's a football thing. I know it's not a big deal, but this is about the drug war, and this is about legalization and freedom and rights. I think people are into those topics as well. So,
now, did you know that Geico could help with your...
And it's about Geico. So, oh well. So let's keep it going. What else is going on in the chat? Stephen Cole on Twitter says, as a user, I've seen zero innovation or leadership from Coinbase since 2014 in terms of Bitcoin offerings. It seems like slow, reluctant following at best. Yet altcoins continue to get added regularly, along with educational material that subtly frames them as superior to Bitcoin. And that's true. It's also a big deal that he'll pay you in altcoins to learn about altcoins, but no one will pay you in Bitcoin to learn about Bitcoin because there's no centralized organization of Bitcoin. And I don't know why Brian and them have left us. I mean, I do know. We all know. First of all, Brian made a lot of money on Ethereum. Yay! Oh, where's the button? Here's. So there you go. Good for him. And also the other problem is his business, Coinbase. They rely on selling you altcoins. If they can't sell you altcoins, then they don't make as much money on the fees. So there you go. I think that explains everything. We talked a lot about India, and now the Reserve Bank of India reportedly plans to return to the Supreme Court to fight the ruling that overturned its ban on banking access for crypto firms. So while Unicoin and the rest of India are firing up their web browsers to buy some Bitcoin and God knows what else, The central bank, the RBI of India, is going to fight it all the way to the Supreme Court, so it's not over, not by a long shot. Wiped doorknobs, shunned handshakes, plenty of hand sanitizer. This is what happens when the coronavirus disrupts conferences. And so, yes, people want to network. They can't network. There's empty halls. Oh, we can't read the LA Times anymore. That's sad. We're running out of places to read things. But yes, it's conferences are shutting down. People are wearing giant bandanas. Virus continuing to spread. Meanwhile, in Freedom Information, the Trump administration announces that it will soon begin taking DNA samples from migrants crossing the border in detention for use in a federal criminal database. So that's good. Very 1984. Oh, well. And the nominees for Best 1984 go to Trump administration collecting DNA samples. Also, you got to like that it's a criminal database. That's good stuff. We've had some great tweets out there in the Bitcoin space. Hold on. Oh, you can't talk forever. Some people can. Some kind of special talent they have. Anyway, I thought this was just a great tweet by Balaji. Basically, Balaji's been kind of taking credit for the virus for a while now. There was a big article early on that was critical of Silicon Valley because Silicon Valley didn't want to shake hands anymore. And Silicon Valley was worried about the virus early on, so they switched to fist bumping, right? And Balaji and a couple other people were like, this is, how can you mock us? We're right. Fist bumping is safer. This is a much safer. There's less dirty germs in the handshake and all these things. So ever since then, he's been like Mr. Virus, and he's had this kind of go-to virus opinion. Now, yesterday, Brian Williams and I don't know this lady, Mara Gay of the New York Times editorial board, they were given bad information, right? Now, they look like idiots, right? There was this tweet, and the tweet was wrong. And the way the tweet was worded is kind of you'd get confused while you're reading it, and you'd get to the end of it, and the tweet said that Bloomberg had $327 million invested in his campaign, and there's 327 million Americans, and that means we could each have $1 million. And the problem with that is if you're listening to it, you're like, I could have $1 million? And then you're like, wait a minute, that math doesn't make sense. I mean, because obviously if he could just kind of buy us all with $1 million, I don't know. I mean, you got to vote for Bloomberg if he's going to give you $1 million, even though this kind of devalues $1 million. All your neighbors would have $1 million. All the things you'd want to buy would go up in value, at least temporarily, while the first big spenders spent their $1 million, so on and so forth. But yeah, I don't know. They look like idiots. They did the math wrong. But Balaji kind of expands this to say now that the virus is happening because there's a critical deficit of quantitative reasoning in our media and political class. Or that the virus is spreading worse because of this, or that somehow this is related. And I don't know. I think he's getting a little kind of, ridiculous. So I said he had specious reasoning. By your logic, this rock keeps tigers away. And then, of course, Homer was like, Lisa, I would like to buy your rock. So what do you guys think? You can call now at 1-518-600-1949. I think I've got everything plugged in. Or you can call us on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. Join the conversation. What do you think? Is the virus a big deal? Is Balaji right? We should all switch to fist bumping. Checking out the chat. Bitcoin and the Boys says, this is how we all get to be like the movie Demolition Man. And Bitcoin Motorist says, nonsense. Everyone on the TV news is a genius. And also, I don't think that they've really even claimed to be a genius. I mean, especially poor Brian Williams. If we're gonna wake up in the middle of the night and be mean to Brian Williams, which again we can if we want, is a very available punching bag. He's the one that made up that story about how he went to Iraq, and he had all the details, and then it was completely wrong, which is probably not a good thing to mention right now, especially since Joe Biden has been well known to accidentally tell wrong stories and conflate details. But I think that's part of just being an older politician. It's not his fault. But let's keep going. What else? Andrea Mitchell said, shocking. Who saw that coming? The Taliban have resumed attacks against Afghan forces soon after signing a deal to end their war with the United States military, raising concerns that the Americans are leaving their Afghan allies vulnerable. The entire time that there's been this story out there, United States makes a deal with the Taliban. It's never made any sense to me. I guess it's a thing. I know you got to try these kind of things. We're back to Vietnam here. We're talking to the Viet Cong and the VC and so forth, but I still don't know if you want to do that. And let's see what else is going on. I said earlier, glad to see the virus panic has fried everyone's brains, so now we're just making shit up. Someone said on Twitter that the American Revolution was about religious freedom and the separation of church and state, when really it was much more about taxes. The media making a small math error leads to the virus or expands its spread somehow, and that Bitcoin doesn't like socialism when really there's zero fucks given. I'm not saying Bitcoin is pro-socialism or pro-libertarianism or pro-liberalism or anything. I think Bitcoin doesn't give a fuck about any of that shit. So, and I think that's an important distinction. There are parts of Bitcoin that are kind of libertarian in their way, the property rights of Bitcoin, the way that the numbers work. If I send my property, my Bitcoin to you, you have them. It's over. Like, I can't cancel. There's no board that I could appeal to. There's no kind of, backsies or any kind of whoopsies or anything. That's kind of a very libertarian idea, I think, that kind of property exchange, fair property exchange. But that's a very small, like, cog of the Bitcoin. And that obviously can't be changed. If that was changed, everyone would get really mad. So, but let's keep it going. Something happened to the hash rate of BSV. Bitcoin has 94% of the hash rate. BSV has about 6% of the hash rate. And has 6% of the hash rate. And BSV has 0. That's not good. Also thought this was a great single graphic here from Arcolect. It says Britney Spears. Well, I know it's Britney Spears, but maybe you're not supposed to know. I don't know. Here it says, my loneliness is killing me. Baby, one more time. 1998. My loneliness ain't killing me no more. Stronger. 2000. So, shout out to Britney. Think she's getting better. And finally, I had a tweet about the new Bitcoin and Friends episode that you should all check out. What else is going on today in the chat? What's up? What's Bitcoin up to in Vegas? We just had Tone Vase visit town with the Unconfiscatable Conference in Las Vegas. That was a fun couple of days. There was a pinball tournament and a poker tournament and a conference, and we did some interviews. Otherwise, I'm not sure. I was traveling a lot and haven't been doing the Bitcoin group much lately, the local meetup. I think there is a meetup. They used to be pretty much into the bitch. I'm not sure if they're into bitch anymore. They might have shifted back to Bitcoin. So still, I think a lot of people are moving to town, but now again, everyone works from home. Everyone doesn't go outside, is afraid to go to shows. I don't know. We're still in the early phases of this, but I don't know. Let's see. Speech by Michael Goldstein in 2014 called Bitcoin is Anarchy. Is it Gold? It's not Emmanuel Goldstein. Let's see. A survey says it's not popular to have the number one title be its thing. Miners vote with a hash rate. Safety. I don't know. Good luck finding that. Check out this impossible speech to find. Oh, come on. I'll give you one more chance. Oh, fail. Serious fail. Let's see. Yes, Google bombing. And what's the other one we're going to find? Oh, no. Oh, that was loud. That was way too loud. But yeah. Fun. All right, Seti at home shutting down. We're reaching about the half-hour point. If you guys want to give me a call now at 1-518-600-1949. Oh, I regret clicking on that goddamn Rickroll. My earplugs are way too loud. Turn them down a little bit. Totally rocked my world, that Rickroll. The price of Bitcoin is $9,104. Looks like it's gone up a little bit since we've started this show. Let's zoom in. Enhance. 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 It's gone off the screen. And we're checking it out. It's hard to read, but 9,106. Still below the daily high of 9,179. Keeping those phone lines open here on the Bitcoin Talk Show or the Thomas Hunt Show, whatever we call it now. Oh, he's sending it to me on Twitter. That's going to solve all the problem. Never pick a fight with a man who buys his ink by the barrel, goes the Mark Twain adage. And in the case of Stallman, never attempt the definitive biography of a man who trusts his every thought to the public record. Interesting. From the Stallman biography. Figure the world's in trouble today. I got a quote for you guys from Wheels of Life, book about the chakras. Death is the only power equal in strength to the ability to create life. Thus, the fear of death became a prime motivator of culture and behavior. The miracle of birth, which could only emerge from the feminine, became instead the willed creation of the masculine God. Thus, the future emerged from the head, not the body, from fear rather than trust. The masculine archetype, in order to gain ascendance, was forced to prove an equivalent power through constant demonstrations of domination, war, and heroic activity. Ooh, dark quote there from Wheels of Life. Classic chakra book. Let's see what else we've got here in the old stack of books. How about Andreas Antonopoulos, The Internet of Money? Let's see. Currency as an app. I think what's going to happen with currency, we're going to start treating currency as an application. And in order to do that, we're going to need interfaces that allow us a unified currency experience, that allow us to have a single wallet with perhaps 150 different currencies in it. Because of innovations like sidechains, decentralized exchanges, fluid liquid systems, and the complete absence of monopoly, of lock-in, of hostage situations around the currency, we will be able to instantaneously and at very low cost convert from Bitcoin to Namecoin to Dogecoin to Ethereum. If we can do that, then it doesn't matter because we won't do that. Our unified wallet interface will do that by trying to see what we're trying to achieve with our currency. If I'm buying a house, it might express my transactional will in the modality of Bitcoin because that is the most successful, suitable currency. When I try to name the domain for that house, it will convert some to Namecoin. The contract itself will be paid in Ether. When I tip the bartender for my cup of coffee they gave me when I got up that morning, I'll tip them in Doge. My interface will hide all of these differences. So there you go, Andreas Antonopoulos, The Internet of Money. Talking about different ways to use currency and currency as an application. Let's see. Someone in the chat, Thomas, says they've closed all their bank accounts in the bank today and they're completely debt-free and only have Bitcoin from now on. It's very cool. Congratulations. It might be tough to keep that up though. The debt always comes back for you. There's always more debt. You could always come back and borrow a little more. Say, have I read the book Homo Deus? Nope, not familiar with that book. But we've got just a little bit more. We're reaching the 30-minute point. I might end this show with a quick show. Later up today, we've got the Bitcoin group coming up, the American Original. right here on the World Crypto Network at 1 o'clock Pacific time. Be sure to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, give us a like, share, retweet, all the things. And now a quick reading from Discipline Equals Freedom Field Manual by Jocko Willink. Negative talk from negative people. The old classic. What do you do about the negative person talking behind your back and trying to bring you down? Sure, you can confront them and join them in their little game. You can give them the satisfaction of knowing that they got in your head. You can turn your life into a grade school gossip hall. Of course, there are times, unfortunately, when you have to engage with people like this. You may have to set the record straight on a serious allegation. You may have to challenge statements that might be damaging to the team or the mission. And when you do have to engage, do it professionally. Say something like, I heard you had some pointers for me about how I'm doing my job. I'd love to get your feedback so I can tighten up my game. A statement like this will likely diffuse the scenario. The person will know that there are informants who will tell you what is going on and will likely stifle the situation. But let me tell you what my preferred methodology is for this situation. It is simple. Ignore and outperform. Yes, while you are over there watching me and talking about me, I'm working. I'm working hard. I'm taking things to the next level. You keep gossiping. I'll keep working. You keep talking smack. I'll keep working. You keep chattering about things. I'll keep working. You keep focusing on what everyone else is doing wrong. I'll keep focusing on what I can do right. And when you finally look around at where you are and where I am, you'll realize that you have nothing to talk smack about, because you will lose, and I will win. And this applies to when people are playing office politics or forming their cliques or working their personal agendas. Of course, sometimes you have to play those games too. But when dealing with people like this, let your first course of action and the fundamental core of how you handle it be very clear and direct. Outwork and outperform every last one of them. And that's about it. Until next time, join us later for the Bitcoin group at 1 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. Until next time, bye-bye.